Alright, grade 11. Now we're on November 2018 paper, question 1. This is what the GUI looks like. We're going to do 1.1 straight away. It's all about grade 11's doing casual work if you're a waiter or waitress and so on. So we'll read the instructions. Receive a special reference will be used on their pay slips. So the waiter's name and surname must be entered, and a code must be generated, point of sale system code. The waiter reference will be the first letter of the waiter's name followed by a full stop and then the surname. Then the code is going to be a random number between 1,000 and 99,999. Display the reference and the code in the respective text areas, which is EDT ref and EDT code, EDT waiter. So let's go and get VAR. S name, S colon string, and then we're going to go and get S name equals EDT waiter dot text waiter and well, we want to get the first character, S initial is name character 1, and then we will delete from S name. We don't need the rest of it, from 1 to the pos of the space of S name -1. Oh wait, not -1, we're deleting the space as well, and what we have left is the surname, and that gets displayed into, with a full stop, into the EDT ref dot text equals S initial plus a full stop plus S. Done. Now for the code, we just generate a random number and put it in the EDT code. So it's EDT code dot text equals string, into string, because random range returns an integer, and the number is from 10,000 to 99,999, comma, and then you have to use 100,000. Yeah, that was quite a trick with all the noughts, eh? 99,999, you've got to add 1 to it, then you get 100,000. So that's it. Into string, random range, and don't forget about that random range function. You've got to have one more on the upper on the second parameter. You've got to have one more than the range. Right, next question. The age of the employee determines whether they can be full-time or part-time. If the employee is still school-going, then they can work one weekday and weekends. They can only work one weekday and weekends. If they're younger than 16, they can't work. And if they're older than 18, they can work all weekdays and one day on the weekend. Okay. We want the ID number of the employee to find out what their age is. So we have to check that there are 13 numerical characters. Yeah. So that's a trick. You have to do the length, and you also have to well, no, we're just going to find out if there's anything that's not a digit in the ID number, because it could start with a naught, so val doesn't work there. Calculate the age in years only. Assume that no one is older than 100. Okay. Right. So Let's do it to get the ID number from this edit box, EDT ID. So var srd colon string equals srd equals EDT ID dot text. And now we've got to check if the length of srd, if it's not equal to 13, we have to basically tell them no. "13 digits or else." Oh, 13 digits. It's not an input box. We can exit if you want. And then we're going to have another if statement. We have to basically go and check that there are numbers in that string. And I prefer to go through the string, the for loop. For k equals 1 to 13, because now we know that there will be 13, hey? Because we exited there. Again, and if not srd square brackets k in the set of 0 to 9 represented as strings, then we'll begin. Actually, we should actually have a for loop, a while loop here, and stop the loop when we find a match. So let's go and do that. Be found, go on, boolean. We'll set boolean, we'll set it to false. Oops, I don't use the word set, I just say be found equals false, while be found equals false, and k is less than 13. We've got to set k equal to something. Initialize k to a number, 1 or 0. It all depends where you increment k, and that also determines what you're going to do here, whether you're going to have an equal sign or not. So I'm going to increment k here. So if not srdk in 0 to none, then we're going to say be found equals true, and that means the loop will then stop. Let's go and check here, and at the end of this whole loop we're going to see if be found is still false, and if it's true we're going to basically show a message and exit. But let's check out what our k is. K is going to be 1, so we check the first character, and it carries on and on until it gets to 12, and then we increment k, and that's now 13, isn't it? Then we're going to check k is 13, which means we have checked the last one, so that is correct, and that is correct, and that is correct. All depends on where you increment k, whether you're going to make that equal to 0 or 1, or whether you're going to use a less than an equal sign. If I made that to 1 and I increment k over here, oops, over here before I check the next one, okay, so it's 1, we check 1, 2, 3, so k is 12, okay, it's less than 13, now it's 13, well, we have to put an equal sign there then. So as I showed you, it all depends on whether you set k to 0 or 1 and where you increment it. That depends on whether you put an equal sign there or not. You must just click it, check it before you continue. And then we're going to say if be found is still false, no, if it's true, but if it's still false, then we know that the number is right. But if it's true, then we're going to show a message and exit as well. We're not going to show that it's 13 digits. We're going to say please only digits something to that effect, and we'll exit there. Okay, now there's probably an easy way to do it. I just like this way. And as I said, val is trying to convert a string to an integer, but if there's a naught in front of it, I suppose that could also work, but I don't really like it. I don't think it's that efficient. Right, now what we're going to do next is, so we've done that, now we're going to calculate the age in years only. So we get the first 2 digits and subtract today's date from it. Today's date. So we've got to pull out the year part of today's date. So I'm going to make a variable called sDate, and sDate is today's date will be equal to date to string date, and that will give you today's date, and it'll start with the first 4 digits, which will be the year. So I'm going to make a variable called I today year, so that we know what we're dealing with. So I today year will be equal to copy from this date starting at 1, and we're copying 4 digits, but this date is a string and copying returns a string, so you've got to say string to int and then copy. Alright, so once we've got that, now we isolate the first 2 digits from the date of birth. Okay, and if there's a naught, then we know it's 2000. If there's an 8, then we know anything that's not a naught, well, could be 1, hey. Thinking about that, if it's a 1, they're born in 2011, but anything that, if it's a 2, no. So the first digit can be a naught or a 1, and then we know we're going to subtract, we're going to add a 20 in front of it. If it's anything that's not a naught or a 1, then we are going to add 19 to the front of it. So that's the trick there that we have to do. But let's go and first get the first 2 digits, and I'll put it in S2, so I know that I'm talking about the first 2 digits of the ID number. The ID number that was entered. Okay, I'm going to say if S2 character number 1 in the set of 1 and 2, then we're going to join S2 will be equal to 20. We're going to change S2 and add a 20 in front of it. Okay, else S2 will be equal to 19 joined to the front of S2. Now at this stage I haven't eliminated any zeros, oops, and everything's fine, but now we can convert S2 to an integer, so we can subtract them and find the age. Okay, you might have other ways of doing it, but this is just the way I'm going to do it now. Here I'm going to make a variable called I here to convert S2 into an integer safely now, because we've added those 2 digits into the front of the string called S2. And then we're going to work out the age, another variable called our age, and then I'm going to say our age equals today's year minus our year. Today here minus our year. Right, once we've got our age, let's see what we have to do. Well, case our age, if of not, well, from 16 to 18. No, 16 to 17. Any person that's finished school older than that, 16 to 18. Okay. 16 to 18. Then we're going to say they can work weekday times 1 and weekend. And yeah, so if they're school going age, they can only work on 1 weekday and they can work on weekends. So I'm just going to use case our age of 16 ... 18. We're going to display into this rich edit already question 1 underscore 2 dot lines dot add 1 weekday and weekends. Doesn't have to be on separate lines. I don't think they say that it must be on separate lines. Nope. And then case right, what if they're older than 18? Oh my word. So I've got to go 0 to 15. Just to put a range there, because I'm going to use the else part for anything that's over 18. No work allowed, something to that effect. And of course I'm only going fast here because I'm trying to save time, so I don't want the video to be too long. And then else, we'll put an else here, else they can work on all weekdays and 1 weekend day, something like that. Right, I suppose we could test the program, but I actually don't really have time. We'll test it with this one, 810514, 13 characters. Okay, let's test it. If not, we have to do this. I'll close a bracket. Okay. 8-1. All weekdays and 1 weekend day. Yep. And if I put in a 1 there, it should tell me no work allowed. If I put a 0 there, 01, it'll tell me all weekdays and 1 weekend. Wait, 0105, all weekdays and 1 weekend. That shouldn't be weekday. No. Nope, that's wrong. Let's have a look. One weekday and weekends. 16 to 18. 1, 2. Oh, actually, yeah, that's because of the years, 2 years. No, it is right. It's just because this program was written like 3 years ago. And that's why today's year is 2020. Right, moving on. Right, question 1.3. Write code to simulate a wage, calculate the number of hours worked. Normal working hours must be entered. If there's overtime, then an input box must appear to ask how many overtime hours. Right, so let's go and get our hours, SED hours, and check if that input box is checked. There are I hours, and then I hours, SED hours dot value, and then we're going to say if this checkbox named CBX overtime if CBX overtime dot checked equals true. You don't have to say equals true, but I like to do it because you know what. Then we get our overtime, I over equals string to int input box enter overtime hours, and then you would see that. There's my input box. And what else we're going to do? How many hours worked? So normal hours 1825, 1.5 times the normal hours rate. Calculate and display the total wage the employee received. Format the currency in 2 decimal places. And change the color of the panel to sky blue. Right. I'm actually going to get my R over rate, and I'm going to say R over rate equals 18.25 times 1.5, 1.5 times. 1.5 times the plus 8.25 divided by 2. That's one way. 8.25. So I know what I'm going to calculate my overtime hours, but we're only going to calculate overtime hours if the overtime checkbox is checked, and then we're going to find what the amount is. Okay, and add it to what the over rate is, but we might have to set it to 0. If there's no value, because we're going to add the over rate. We're also going to multiply the over rate by the overtime hours. Actually, maybe I shouldn't call it over rate. R over, let's call it R over, and we multiply that number by I over times by this, but don't forget about BODMAS here, very important. You had lost a mark there. If R over is not given a value, because you've got to add R over to the number of hours, you know, and R total is going to be the R over plus R total. So R over is 0. We'll set it to 0 there, and if the checkbox is true, R over will be given a value over there. Okay, so you have to make sure, if you're going to say R total equals I hours times by the 18.25 multiplied by 18.25, and then you want to add that to what R over is. Okay, you can use BODMAS, you can use brackets here too if you want. And if R over is naught, because the checkbox is not checked, then you're covered. So there we go. And then you just have to make sure your logic is everything is correct, whichever way you do it. And then we have to change. We have to display it inside the panel. Which is called BNL output, BNL output caption equals float to string f R total f colon c comma 8 comma 2, and then we change the panel dot color equals CL sky blue. Yeah, that's that done. You can go and check it too. If 5 hours are worked overtime. Oh, how many hours does they work? 16 hours. 16 normal hours, and we're going to put in 5 here for overtime, and there it is, 100%. So we'll go to the next one. Right, staff clothing must be ordered on a regular basis. Each employee will receive a complimentary peak cap. They can only order one item at a time. The item of clothing can be short sleeve shirt, long sleeve shirt, or hoodie. They choose an item and select the size they want, but they get a peak cap free anyway. And then display the order in the show message component. There's 8 marks. Should be quick on this one. So over here we got to decide what radio group box they used there, and we've got to put either M or S or XS in brackets next to the actual order. That's basically it. And they're only going to choose one, because radio group boxes, you can only choose one from a radio group box. Remember that. The hoodie, the name of the item will be there in the combo box, and then you've got to add the peak cap as an extra free item, so they're actually paying for anything else. And stipulated that the size must be in brackets. So I'm going to get a string for that, and I'm also going to get a string for my size. VAR S item and S size. I'm going to do it in the following way. I'm going to say S item, that's an easy one. The CMB item.text, and its size will be equal to the radio group box RGB size RGP sizes dot items square brackets RGP sizes dot item index square brackets. Word. Okay, now we're going to go and put it in the in the show message. Right, show message. So that will be interesting, because we have to now use #13 in our show message component. Show message must be the word order and colon, and then hash 13. Then we must have the S item, and then we're going to put in brackets S size, close the brackets, and then a hash 13, then a hash 13 to go new line, and then you're going to put in the word peak cap. So the hash 13 was rather important here to separate each items on the lines, on new lines. Let's see if it's correct. Let's see. So I'm going to choose one of these and the size and replace the order, and there it is. Done. Okay, try this by yourself without looking.